I'm the real head of this family. My MIL crashed our family vacation and tried to take over. She didn't expect us to leave her at the wrong resort while we checked in somewhere else. My mother-in-law, Sheila, has always been a piece of work. She's the kind of woman who has to be in control of everything and everyone around her. She's nosy, overbearing, and somehow always makes herself the center of attention. For the 10 years I've been married to Mike, she's made it clear that she thinks she's the real head of our family. And she's not shy about it either. Sheila has a habit of showing up uninvited, giving unwanted advice, and questioning every decision I make, especially when it comes to our 2 kids, Mia and Jake. But the worst part? She's manipulative. She plays the victim so well that Mike always ends up feeling guilty, no matter what she does. I've been dealing with this nonsense for a decade, biting my tongue for the sake of keeping the peace. But this time, she went too far. Every summer, we take a family vacation. It's our time to relax and reconnect, just the 4 of us. This year, we planned a week at a beautiful beach resort in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The kids were counting down the days, and honestly, I needed this break more than ever. We didn't tell Sheila because, frankly, I didn't want her there. I was done with her showing up and taking over. But somehow, she found out. To this day, I don't know how. Maybe she snooped through Mike's emails or overheard him on the phone. Maybe one of her nosy friends saw me buying sunscreen in bulk and put 2 and 2 together. It wouldn't be the first time she spied on us. I should have known something was up when she called a few days before the trip, dropping hints about how she missed the grandkids and how much she loved the beach. I brushed it off, pretending not to catch on. I figured if I didn't engage, she'd drop it. That was my first mistake. We pulled up to the resort after a long drive, exhausted but excited. The place was gorgeous, palm trees swaying in the breeze, the ocean just beyond the lobby, and that warm, salty air that just melts your stress away. I was ready to check in, throw on my swimsuit, and hit the beach with the kids. But as we walked into the lobby, I froze. There, standing by the concierge desk like she owned the place, was Sheila. She was dressed to the nines, wearing a wide-brimmed sun hat and oversized sunglasses, with her designer luggage piled neatly at her feet. She grinned when she saw us, waving like she'd just run into us by coincidence. "Oh, there you are. I was starting to think you got lost." I couldn't believe it. I looked at Mike, hoping for some explanation, but he looked just as shocked as I felt. "Mom, what are you doing here?" he asked, his voice flat. Sheila's eyes sparkled with that look she always gets when she thinks she's outsmarted us. "Well, when I heard you were coming to the beach, I just couldn't resist. It's been so long since we've all had a nice family vacation together." She turned to me, plastering on a fake sweet smile. "Don't worry, dear. I got my own room. I wouldn't want to intrude." Sure she wouldn't. I knew exactly what she was doing. Sheila had no intention of giving us space. Getting her own room was just a technicality. She planned to be glued to us every waking moment. And that's exactly what happened. From the moment we arrived, Sheila made herself the center of attention. Every morning, she was at our door before sunrise, bright-eyed and ready to go. "I made reservations for breakfast," she'd announce, not even asking if we had other plans. At the beach, she planted herself right in the middle of our setup, directing everything like a drill sergeant. "Mia, put on more sunscreen. You're going to burn. Jake, don't dig there. It's too close to the water. Mike, did you remember to bring their snacks?" "Oh, of course not. It's a good thing I'm here." Every time I tried to speak up, she'd cut me off, acting like I didn't exist. She took over every meal, every activity, and even bedtime routines. I couldn't get a moment alone with my own kids. By the end of the second day, I was ready to scream. But it wasn't just the way she took over. It was the constant jabs and passive-aggressive comments. "Oh, Mia is still struggling with her reading? That's a shame. Back in my day, mothers spent more time teaching their kids." Or, "Jake is such a picky eater. You know, if you were stricter about his diet, he wouldn't be so spoiled." Every word was meant to undermine me, to make me feel like a failure as a mom. And she did it all with a sweet smile, pretending she was just trying to help. I tried talking to Mike, but he was caught in the middle. He'd sigh and say, "I know she's overbearing, but she means well. Just let her have her fun. It's only for a week." Easy for him to say. He wasn't the one being criticized and ignored at every turn. I was reaching my breaking point, and I knew I had to do something before I snapped. On the third night, I tried to take back some control. I wanted to have dinner at a seafood place by the pier, just the 4 of us. I even made reservations without telling Sheila, hoping for one night of peace. But when we arrived, there she was, sitting at a table she'd reserved earlier. She waved us over, her face lighting up with triumph. Surprise! I got here early to make sure we got the best spot. Aren't you glad I came along? That was it. I was done. I looked at Mike, and he could see the fury in my eyes. We need to talk. Now. We stepped outside, and I let him have it. This was supposed to be our vacation, Mike. Ours. She's taken over everything. I can't relax. I can't breathe. I can't even have dinner with my own husband and kids without her butting in. Mike looked torn, running a hand through his hair. I know. I didn't invite her. I don't know how she found out. But what am I supposed to do? She's my mom. She's manipulating you, Mike. She's using that guilt to control you, and to control our lives. He opened his mouth to argue, but I wasn't having it. She thinks she's in charge. She thinks she's the head of this family. Well, she's not. I am. We are. And I'm not letting her ruin this vacation. That's when the idea hit me. I knew what I had to do. Sheila wanted to be the queen bee? Fine. She could be queen of her own little kingdom, without us. I outlined my plan to Mike, and at first, he hesitated. But he could see how much this was hurting me. He knew we couldn't go on like this. Reluctantly, he agreed. I felt a sense of calm wash over me as I put the plan into motion. It was risky. It was bold. But it was the only way to take back control. Sheila wanted to play games? Well, she was about to find out I play to win. And she would never see it coming. The next morning, I played along. I plastered on a smile and acted like everything was fine. I even complimented Sheila's outfit, some bright, flowy thing that looked like she was auditioning for a soap opera. She preened, clearly pleased with herself, and launched into her plan for the day. I booked us all on a dolphin-watching tour. The kids are going to love it. She beamed, like she was doing us this huge favor. Never mind that she hadn't asked if we wanted to go. Never mind that I'd already promised Mia and Jake we'd spend the day at the water park. Sheila had spoken, so obviously, her plan was the only one that mattered. Mike looked at me, his jaw tightening, but I shook my head. We needed her to think she was in control. That sounds great, Sheila, I said, doing my best to sound excited. Let me just get the kids ready. In the room, I pulled Mike aside. Are you still on board with the plan? I asked, searching his face. I needed to know he wouldn't back out at the last minute. He hesitated, glancing towards the door where Sheila was gushing over Mia's braids. Yeah, let's do this. I'm done letting her run our lives. That was all I needed to hear. I called the front desk and confirmed our reservation at the other resort down the beach. It was pricier than this one, but at this point, I didn't care. I just wanted my family back. I also arranged for a shuttle to take Sheila to the nearby resort she'd mentioned on the first day. She had pointed it out and said it looked lovely. Perfect. We left the room acting like everything was normal. Sheila was in high spirits, practically bouncing as we walked to the lobby. She couldn't stop talking about how excited she was to see the dolphins. I read all the reviews, she bragged. It's the best tour in town. You'll thank me later. I just smiled and nodded, letting her bask in her little victory. She had no idea what was coming. When the shuttle pulled up, I acted surprised. Oh, look. They're taking us to the other resort first. That must be where the tour starts. Sheila's eyes lit up. Oh, I knew I picked the best one. I just have an eye for these things. I glanced at Mike, who looked away to hide his grin. It was hard to feel bad for her when she was so smug about the whole thing. We all piled into the shuttle, the kids chattering about dolphins, while Sheila went on and on about how brilliant her plan was. When we arrived at the resort, I helped her with her bags, making a big show of being helpful. You're going to check in first, right? I asked sweetly. We'll wait right here. She waved me off. Oh, don't be silly. I'll just be a minute. Don't go anywhere. She disappeared into the lobby, already barking at the receptionist about upgrading her room. I turned to Mike. Let's go. We grabbed the kids and quietly slipped back into the shuttle. I felt a surge of adrenaline as we pulled away, leaving Sheila behind. I half expected her to come running out, screeching at us, but the lobby door stayed closed. She was too busy demanding her ocean view room. We arrived at our new hotel a few minutes later. It was perfect, spacious rooms, beautiful pool, and most importantly, no Sheila. I felt the tension leave my body as we checked in. For the first time since we arrived, I could breathe. We spent the day at the water park, just like I'd promised the kids. Mia couldn't stop laughing as she raced down the slides, and Jake was over the moon about the wave pool. I watched Mike unwind, his shoulders finally relaxing as he floated beside me in the lazy river. It was exactly what we needed. But my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. At first, the texts were casual. Where did you guys go? I'm at the resort. I don't see you. Are you lost? The tour is about to start. Then they got frantic. Where are you? This isn't funny. I've been waiting for hours. Call me now. I ignored every single one. I knew I'd have to deal with her eventually, but not today. Today was mine. That evening, I turned my phone back on to find a barrage of missed calls and voicemails. I listened to one just to see how mad she was. Her voice was shrill, bordering on hysterical. I can't believe you abandoned me. At a strange hotel. Alone. This is unacceptable. You better come back right now or else. Or else what? I rolled my eyes and deleted the voicemail. She was still playing the victim, acting like I'd stranded her in the middle of nowhere instead of at a luxury resort. The next morning, she escalated. I woke up to a knock at our door and opened it to find hotel security standing there. My stomach dropped. Is everything all right? The guard looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, we got a report of missing guests. Your, mother-in-law contacted the police. She said she's worried for your safety. Unbelievable. I had to take a deep breath to keep my cool. We're fine. We just switched hotels for some privacy. She knows where we are. She's just overreacting. The guard gave me a knowing look. We see this kind of thing more than you'd think. We'll let her know you're safe. I closed the door and turned to Mike, who looked horrified. She called the police? She's playing the victim again, I said, my anger boiling over. She's trying to make us the villains. Mike's face hardened. I'm done. We need to end this. She's gone too far. I nodded, feeling a strange mix of relief and dread. I'd finally gotten through to him, but I knew Sheila wouldn't give up easily. She was losing control, and she'd do anything to get it back. As we sat down to breakfast, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from Sheila's sister, Marie. We didn't talk often, but I liked her. She was the only one in the family who saw through Sheila's manipulations. She called me last night. She's telling everyone you abandoned her. She's playing the victim card hard. Be ready for a fight. I showed Mike the message, and his face went pale. She's turning the whole family against us, he whispered. She's going to make us look like monsters. I took his hand, squeezing it tight. Let her try. I'm done playing by her rules. She wants a fight? She's got one. And I meant it. Sheila had declared war, and I was ready to fight back. She thought she was the head of this family. It was time to show her just how wrong she was. Just as we were finishing breakfast, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was from Mike's cousin, Rachel. We were close, closer than Sheila knew. Heads up. Your MIL is telling everyone you left her stranded. She's saying you're having a mental breakdown and that Mike's too scared to leave you alone. She's trying to paint you as unstable. Watch your back. I felt the blood drain from my face. I showed Mike the text, and his eyes went wide. She's what? He sputtered, fury flashing across his face. She's telling people you're crazy? That I'm scared of you? He grabbed his phone and dialed Sheila's number. She picked up on the first ring, her voice trembling, clearly trying to sound frail and heartbroken. Mikey? Oh, thank God. Are you okay? Where are you? Cut the act, Mom, Mike snapped. I know what you're doing. Why are you telling people that my wife is unstable? Why are you lying to the family? There was a pause, and then she burst into tears. I'm just so worried about you. She's been so distant, so cold. I thought she needed help. I thought she was having one of her episodes. Episodes? I almost laughed out loud. She was spinning a whole new story, rewriting history to make me sound like the villain. And she was playing the concerned mother-in-law to perfection. Mom, stop it, Mike said, his voice cracking. There's nothing wrong with her. We just wanted a family vacation without you taking over. Why can't you understand that? I could hear her tone shift, cold and sharp. I did this for you, Michael. I came here to help. To protect you and the kids from this. She spat the last word like I was some kind of monster. Mike was shaking with anger. We're not coming back to the resort. And if you keep lying to the family, you're going to lose us for good. He hung up before she could say another word. He dropped the phone on the table, his shoulders slumping. She's turning this into something sick. She's trying to ruin you. I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of it sinking in. This wasn't just about a ruined vacation. She was trying to destroy my reputation, to make me look like an unfit mother and wife. She was trying to tear my family apart. We spent the rest of the day trying to relax, but there was a cloud hanging over us. I could tell Mike was torn, wrestling with the guilt and anger that only Sheila could provoke. And I was tired. Tired of fighting, tired of defending myself against her lies. But I knew giving up wasn't an option. Not when she was willing to stoop this low. That evening, we went to a beachfront restaurant for dinner. I was watching Mia and Jake build sandcastles by our table when I noticed a woman staring at us. She was in her 50s, dressed in business casual clothes that looked out of place on the beach. She kept glancing over, whispering into her phone. My stomach twisted with unease. Mike, I whispered, nodding towards the woman. Do you know her? He turned and frowned. No, but she looks familiar. Maybe from the other resort? The woman's eyes widened when she saw us looking, and she quickly walked away, her phone still pressed to her ear. I felt a chill run down my spine. A few minutes later, a man in a suit approached our table. He looked serious, his expression cold. Mr. and Mrs. Larson? Mike stood up, his posture tense. Yes. Can we help you? The man pulled out a badge. I'm Detective Grant with the local police department. We received a report of child endangerment. I need to ask you both some questions. I felt the world tilt under my feet. Child endangerment? What are you talking about? The detective's face was blank, all business. We received an anonymous tip that you abandoned your children at a hotel and were exhibiting erratic behavior. I need to verify their safety. I felt like I was going to be sick. I knew exactly who had called. Sheila was trying to get our kids taken away. She was weaponizing the police, using lies, to attack me where it hurt the most. Mike's face turned red, his fists clenching. This is insane. Our kids are right there, safe and happy. Who would say something like that? The detective looked uncomfortable. We're required to follow up on reports like this, sir. I just need to confirm that the children are safe and that there's no cause for concern. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. Of course. Ask them whatever you need to. They're fine. They've been with us the whole time. He nodded and walked over to talk to Mia and Jake. I watched him kneel down, his voice gentle as he asked them questions. I could see Mia looking confused, glancing back at me for reassurance. My heart broke a little, knowing she was being dragged into this mess. After a few minutes, the detective stood up and came back to the table. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Your children are clearly safe and well cared for. But I would advise you to figure out who made the call. False reports are taken very seriously. I nodded, too shaken to speak. Mike put an arm around me, his jaw tight. Thank you, officer. We'll handle it. The detective left, but the damage was done. I felt humiliated, furious, and sick to my stomach. Sheila had crossed a line I never thought she would. She was willing to drag her own grandchildren into her twisted games. Mike was trembling with anger. This is war. She wants to play dirty? Fine. We'll give her what she wants. I looked at him, seeing a hardness in his eyes I'd never seen before. I knew he was right. Sheila wasn't going to stop until she got what she wanted, complete control over our lives. She didn't care who she hurt in the process. Not me. Not Mike. Not even the kids. We were done playing nice. Sheila had declared war on our family. And we were ready to fight back. After the incident with the detective, we knew we had to act fast. Sheila wasn't just meddling anymore, she was attacking. She was trying to destroy me as a mother and wife. And if we didn't stand up to her now, she'd keep escalating. Mike was livid. I'd never seen him this angry before. She called the police on us. On her own grandchildren. Just to get her way. His voice shook with rage. She's lost it. I took his hand. We can't let her get away with this. We need to confront her. Today. We packed up and left the hotel. I hated cutting the vacation short, but there was no way I could relax after what she'd done. The kids were confused, asking why we were leaving early, and I told them we just needed to go home. I didn't want them to know how twisted their grandmother had become. Not yet. On the way to Sheila's hotel, my phone kept buzzing. Calls and texts from her sister Marie, and even from Mike's cousins. Word had gotten out. Sheila was spreading her version of the story, no doubt painting herself as the victim and me as the unhinged daughter-in-law who kidnapped her son and grandkids. I didn't read the messages. I knew they'd only make me angrier. We pulled up to the resort, and I marched straight to the front desk. Sheila Larson's room, please. The receptionist hesitated, probably seeing the fire in my eyes, but Mike stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. She's our mother. We need to see her. She gave us the room number, and we headed up. My heart was pounding as we stood outside her door. Mike looked at me, his jaw set. Ready? I nodded. Let's end this. He knocked, and Sheila opened the door, her face instantly twisting into a mask of shock and anger. What are you doing here? She snapped. After what you did? Abandoning me? Humiliating me? Mike pushed past her into the room. We need to talk. Now. Sheila folded her arms, her lips tight. I don't think so. Not after the way you treated me. I stepped inside, my voice cold. You called the police on us. You tried to get our kids taken away. You crossed the line, Sheila. We're done playing your games. Sheila's eyes widened, then she started to cry. Crocodile tears, her favorite weapon. I was worried about you. You were acting so strange, sneaking around and lying to me. I thought something was wrong. I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. You didn't think anything was wrong. You were angry because we left you behind. Because you couldn't control us. So you made up a story and called the police, hoping to scare us back into line. Her face turned red, the tears vanishing as quickly as they'd come. How dare you speak to me that way? After everything I've done for you? I've sacrificed so much for this family, and this is how you repay me? Mike's voice was steady, but I could see his hands shaking. You've sacrificed nothing. You've demanded everything. You manipulate and control and play the victim every time you don't get your way. It ends now. Sheila's mouth dropped open. She looked at Mike like she didn't even recognize him. You're choosing her over me? After all these years? Yes, he said firmly. I'm choosing my wife and kids. I'm choosing my family. And you need to accept that or get out of our lives. Sheila's face twisted in fury. She did this. She's poisoned you against me. You used to be such a good son, and now look at you. You're weak. She made you weak. Mike's face went pale, but he didn't back down. I'm not weak. I'm tired. Tired of you trying to control everything. Tired of you treating my wife like she's beneath you. And tired of you using guilt to keep me in line. I'm done. The air was heavy, the silence deafening. I could see the disbelief in Sheila's eyes, the panic setting in. She was losing him, and she knew it. She turned to me, her face contorting with hatred. You did this. You took my son from me. You ruined this family. I stood my ground. No, Sheila. You did that all on your own. Sheila's composure shattered. You're not the head of this family. I am. I always have been. You think you can just take that from me? I looked her dead in the eye. I'm not taking anything. I'm just refusing to let you rule my life anymore. Sheila's body shook with rage. Fine. You want to be the head of the family? Then you're on your own. Don't come crying to me when everything falls apart. Don't expect me to help when you fail. I felt a strange calm wash over me. We don't need your help. We never did. And I won't let you hurt us anymore. Sheila's face fell, the fight draining out of her. She looked at Mike, her eyes pleading. Mikey, please. Don't do this. Don't leave me alone. He hesitated, pain flickering across his face. I could see the guilt clawing at him, the familiar pull of her manipulation. But he stood firm. Mom. I love you. But I won't let you control us anymore. If you want to be in our lives, you need to change. If you can't, then this is goodbye. Tears streamed down Sheila's face. Real tears, this time. You're all I have, she whispered. You're my son. My baby boy. How can you just walk away? Mike's voice broke. You did this, Mom. You pushed us away. And until you take responsibility for that, we can't be around you. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing, her whole body shaking. It was pitiful, but I didn't feel sorry for her. Not after everything she'd done. Not after how she tried to tear us apart. We turned and walked out of the room, leaving Sheila behind. As we headed down the hallway, I felt the weight lift from my shoulders. I looked at Mike, his face pale but determined. Are you okay? I asked softly. He looked at me, his eyes tired but resolute. No, but I will be. He took my hand, holding it tight. We will be. We walked out of the hotel together, leaving the past behind us. I knew Sheila wouldn't change. I knew she'd keep playing the victim, spinning her lies. But for the first time, I didn't care. We were free. We went home, back to our lives, back to our family. And this time, it was really ours. No more interference. No more manipulation. No more Sheila. I finally felt like the head of my own family. And nothing was going to take that away from me again.